Hi folks, just to start off with my faith. My faith hasn't always been the strongest. So in the last couple of weeks since Jeff asked me to speak tonight, I've really had to look back on my past and see where it actually made an impact in my life. To that point, I think the biggest effect on my faith was my grandmother, who was a woman of great faith. I remember even watching things like the Tour de France. It's like a race at home, and I'd be there for the summer holidays. And every night she would have the prayer book out, and she would say prayers for about an hour while I was watching the race. And I never really got involved in it until later in life, in my faith. And I suppose she passed away 4 years ago. And that's when I really kind of came back into the faith. She was a woman who I loved, and a great time for her. But I only started understanding when I questioned myself about it, how she affected me, and she always used her faith when she was talking to me. Within that faith, I think it's more the principles that she bestowed on me, which have helped me get to where I am today. Looking at work for that, her honesty was the biggest thing. I'm in sales. Sales people don't really have the best rep. When it comes, they will do anything and everything to get a sale, which is 70% true. Yes, we do want other people's money the same way everybody does. When you look at any service that you're provided, that service, they're looking for a payment for it. It's not a charity. So I've always believed from her, if you're honest, you can sell. And that's what I always worked on, relationships. It's always been a relationship, no matter what it is. If I sold something, I would stand over it. If something happened with it, if it broke, I'd replace it. I would do whatever it took to make sure that you were happy. And I would never sell something that I wouldn't buy myself. That's the honesty she bestowed on me. From that, that's directly related to work for me, honesty. And relationships. That's where it comes from. From that, my personal life. I met Renee 3 years ago, there or thereabouts, at horse racing in Ireland. Nice place to meet anyone. A week-long festival. So we met up. I think we worked from the start. I really believe that's why we're together. And I'm sure plenty of people with numerous years behind you, you work, that's it. There's no questions, there's no ifs, buts, or anything. You don't have to question that. And I think that's built on honesty. So honesty, that's really what my faith is about, and stems back from my grandmother. And I think that's what I'm going to pass on. Since we had our daughter, nearly 2 years ago, we both, and Renee's faith is a bit stronger than mine, we both made the decision that we would bring Clodagh to Mass every week, as much as was possible. I changed jobs in the last couple of weeks, so I'll talk about that again. But previous to my last job didn't support me being here every Sunday. But Renee still brought Clodagh. That means a lot to me as a father. And going forward with that, I just want Clodagh to see in her faith the things I've seen through my grandmother. That it is about honesty. It's about all the things you read in the Bible. And it's only in the last couple of weeks from me thinking back. There's a lot of stories in the Bible, and I'm sure a lot of people have read them here. I've often sat in Mass and just passed the hour away. Just sat there, went through the motions, didn't get involved, and left. That was the reason. My mother made me go to Mass. That was it. Once I was under her roof, I had to go to Mass. So it was easier to just go and put the hour. It's 1 hour in a week. That was it. Now I'm a little bit more mature. I'm happy to come to Mass on a Sunday. And I think it's great for our family to be here. That's basically my faith in a nutshell. 2 years ago I moved to America. I'm 36, so I wasn't a young chicken when I came over. Started like everyone, basically started again. I had no history here. Nobody knew who I was. Nobody knew what I could do. You could write it on paper. You could tell anyone you wanted, whatever I wanted. I could sell them on whatever I wanted. I ended up doing production, so I was lucky enough to start work with an Irish guy. He gave me a chance. Just happens he was Irish, didn't make one bit of difference. And worked my way up. But within that work was production. So we used to produce events. Within that, we got the opportunity to open the new Laurie Children's Hospital, which is an amazing building, which I would recommend anyone take a train, bus, drive, go in and see the building. It's absolutely fabulous. You should definitely have a look. So I got to open that, not knowing what was in it. I always knew I wanted to get back into sales. Because sales is my thing. I enjoy it. I love it. From the production, I built my relationship with 2 ladies at the hospital who were events team. They weren't sales related. No relationship with that. I also got to open 2 other hospitals in the city, Rush and UCM. Laurie Children's it's a children's hospital. It beats the other 2 hands down every day. I always noticed that people were very happy going into children's. Always. Every single one of them. There was never a moment, I believe, I saw anyone anxious, upset, in a bad humour. Everyone was just seemed happy. It's a great place. So I reached out to the 2 ladies, and not looking for a job within the hospital, because in Ireland healthcare is free, essentially. You don't have to pay $1,500 a month for insurance. If you do that in Ireland, there's something wrong with you. You have too much money. So coming here, I'm looking at it going, okay, that's a big deal. But within that, when I reached out to them saying I wanted to move jobs, I have a family, I'm not going to be travelling every week, I won't be away every weekend, I want to get back down to a settle, they met me for coffee. From the coffee, turned out that there was a job going, they didn't understand. I brought my resume, showed them what I used to do, then they saw what sales was. Okay, let's try and get them into the hospital. Back to my relationship. My relationship with them got me in the door. What I did in the past got me the job. I'm going to go back to when Clodagh, my daughter, was born, nearly 2 years ago, was in Prentice, which is right beside this site that Children's is on. Coincidence? I don't know. Maybe it is. We could have picked any hospital and could have picked a little closer one to have Clodagh. Just happened. And I remember seeing that empty site. Maybe not empty, would have been half built at the time. And going, wonder what's going there. And then we found out from doctors and nurses it was going to be a new facility right on site. If anything, God forbid, ever happened to a child, 2nd floor or 7th floor, they're straight over to a children's hospital with the best facilities ever. And that's pretty good. 6 months later, I'm working for the company who's going to open the building, production-wise. Great. Meet the ladies and get in there and get the job. There has to be something in that. That's just not luck. I don't believe. I believe it comes back to my grandmother looking after me, looking down on me. And I believe that through her faith, that she's helped me along in some way. I do every now and again thank her. She's not with us, but she still feels like she's with me. So I think that's true faith, that I believe that. So that's really my story on that end. What do I tell you about sales or retail, or what can I tell anyone? I think most of us are pretty experienced here in the ways of the world. What I would like to talk about is what I do for the hospital. It's something I'm pretty proud of right now. The hospital I'm sure everyone here knows hospitals here need the money to stay open. They need the money to keep the doors open, to look after the children, to provide the best service they possibly can. Obamacare doesn't really help. I don't know anyone basics of that. You get a dollar amount per person. That's it. No matter whether they ever grace the floors or the doors of the building, or they're there from the minute they're born. You make any difference, you get the same dollar amount. So, me in a small way, philanthropy is kind of the department I'm in, foundation end. They raise a lot of money. When I saw it first, and they're talking about 100 million, that's what Anne Laurie gave to put her name in the hospital. That's only a drop in the ocean to keep that hospital up. It costs serious dollars to keep that going year in, year out, and guarantee it's going to be there. So in my little way, I look after the gift shop. Any events we do, I'm the procurement officer, whatever it is. I try to get the best deal for the hospital so we can keep the money in. I also try and sell as much product with our logo on it as is possible. In that, it's a donation. I like that end of it, rather than, and it's better for me, I suppose. It makes me feel better. If I can give somebody a product, basically at the exact same price you would pay in a store, if I can give that to you, and the donation or the profit of that is going back to a hospital and going back to a cause, no matter, I'm not just talking about Laurie, I'm talking about any institution of that type. I think that's a nice thing to do every day. I see the kids in the hospital, and I see where this money goes to. It goes towards therapy, therapists, art therapists, speech therapists, any therapist. That's where the money that I generate comes into, which is great to see kids doing. We also use some of their art within art therapy in some of the products we sell. So they get the feel-good factor that they've developed something. It's gone on a t-shirt, it's gone on a card, now it's been sold, and the money is coming. Not that they understand the money coming back in, that is irrelevant to them, but just to have their design, their picture taken and put on a t-shirt, I think that's pretty special. And that's what happens. Genuinely happens. We do go for commercial end as well. But just to see a kid's face because of that, I have stock loads of pictures that just shows what they've done. A simple thing, do a penguin, it's on a Christmas ornament. That's pretty special, and this is a kid who may live till he's 12, may live till he's 10, but he's contributed to life, and that's what we're all about. So that's really my big story. That's where my faith comes in. I'm not the biggest preacher about it. I think I want to get more involved in it, to the point that what affects me. Back to the one thing I just did mention was the honesty part of it. I think if we can all be more honest with each other, that across the board is one of the strongest things you can have for your faith, your honesty. And I think people buy into your honesty. And they buy into you. That's it. It's not, yes, the priest is here. Outside of here, it's you who's selling the story. So I think we should all keep selling the story. And we're all salespeople.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thanks, Sean.
Oh, sorry, any questions?
Oh, yes. It's interesting that you got back. What is it that inspired you to come back?
It's a great question. Absolute great question. What brought me back? Probably my daughter and my wife. We come to the kids' mass here on a Sunday morning for Clodagh. She said to go up and do golf. When I was younger, I wasn't never within 5 feet of the altar. That's the way it was. It's like, oh no, you can't go up there, you can't do anything. Take you out of mass before you start screaming. Whereas we're here on a Sunday at 9 and within reason. Obviously you're not going to let 200 kids run riot in here. But I think it's a pretty nice mass, and parents respect it and kids respect it. They see it that they're not tied to the chair. They can move around somewhat, but they're not going to be allowed to run up and do whatever they want. And I think, to the credit of the priests, they include them in it.
Is there any difficulty coming to the U.S. from Ireland? Like, as far as, is there quotas or?
There's a quota for a green card. Green card is sanctum. It's like a gold bar. Without a green card, you can't work officially in America. There's a lot of unofficial going on, but officially you can't get a real job, as I call it. Is it hard to get? Yes, absolutely. It's a lottery system. There's like 150,000 lottery for the 40 million that apply. So the numbers aren't great. I was lucky enough. We got married. So that's how we're in. That's the only way. Green card, you need to do it. I have to look after my family. That's where we're at. So yeah, it's difficult coming over. The biggest difficult thing, I would say, we were home a year and a half ago. We were going somewhere. I wanted to find something out or do something or get something done. And I was like, what am I supposed to do? Ring Yellow Pages? Do whatever? And then I realized I was at home. I picked up my phone. I made 2 phone calls and I had the job done. I couldn't do that here. I don't have the contacts in America yet. It took me 33, 34 years to build the contacts up I had in Ireland. It's going to take me a number of years to do that here. That's the hardest part for me, contacts. Being here is absolutely great. It's a salesman's dream. Numbers, numbers, and numbers. Once you have numbers, you have a chance in anything. I don't care what it is, and that goes back to the church as well. There's enough people out there that we can attract back in. There's people who have the faiths that may want to come back in. They may want to switch over. Numbers is the way to go. So at least you have a chance.
Why do you think you felt such a connection to Larry?
I think it goes back to having Clodagh, our daughter, in Prentice. And then each step of the way, when I went for my interviews with Larry, I'm sure they thought I was the best salesman ever because I was telling them all about this wonderful story. And I had my daughter next door, and then I came here, then I did production, and I did that. And I was only talking to a lady about it yesterday who actually interviewed me in a strange way. And I said it to her, and she goes, "No, it just came true. You love the building before anything else. You love the institution. You actually do love the building, and you love the hospital, and you love doing what you do."
Do you think the Holy Spirit may have put that longing in your heart for this position?
Something did. I always revert back to my grandmother. Why did I revert back to my grandmother on it? And my faith? I felt like most people in Ireland, we were made go to mass. It wasn't a choice. You didn't get a choice. It was, you went or you didn't live under that roof. I think and my grandmother gave me the choice. When I went down to Tipperary to her, I got the choice to whether I wanted to go to mass or not. And I always wanted because she was fun. Always. And she would let me go to the shop afterwards. We may not go to, I have a big sweet tooth, so the shop would be encouragement to go there. So whether it is the Holy Spirit in my grandmother, I will always go, it's my grandmother. She's the church to me. And that's the way I have to equate it. And I don't know how we get other people to do that. Thank you, folks.